record this session and let me share my screen. Mhm. Okay. Okay. So micro partition. This is one of the key concept in the Snowflake. Okay. And this micro partition is inbuilt design. I mean inbuilt design in the sense the Snowflake, who developed this, right? That they have developed the partition inbuilt. So you no need to create externally. Okay. Other traditional databases like Oracle, Teradata, or even Hive. Okay. So other databases you need to create a partitions on a table. Okay. So but here what Snowflake done here is they have created the micro partitions inbuilt. Okay. So how they have created that we will discuss, deeply. This is very important topic because um, if you know how the background it works, okay, then whoever asks the question, right, then you can able to easily answer this. And this is not a you cannot create anything. It is already I told you, right? It is inbuilt concept in this Snowflake, so you no need to create anything on a table. This partition, okay, that is one thing, and as well as here they have it is not like a column level or something like it is partition how we create in the traditional database. This Snowflake partition is completely different. Okay. So in this, if you see here, just if you see the definition here, right? Okay. Actually, what partition does actually means the partition means when you create a table internally, it will split into some batch wise or some kind of partition. I mean, bunch of data. It will create one kind of area or a block. Okay, so that whenever you try to execute your query, so directly it will hit the that partition and you will get the data very fastly compared to the other databases. Okay, so here how this Snowflake is designed here is okay. So the Snowflake, what they have done, they have created a size level partition. Okay, here if you see they have created this size level means maximum the size is 50 MB to 500 MB of compressed data. It means generally the data will be compressed in the table, but when you are extracting the data at that time you can see in the readable format only. Okay, but the data backend it is compressed. What is compressed means, okay, for example, mm, I'll take the paint. Okay, better. Okay, so for example this is my table, consider. Okay, this is my table. Hmm? Under this table, okay, so this is your emp table. Sorry. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, this is your EMP table. Under EMP table, okay, you are inserting the data. So, for example, unzipped data. For example, you have a unzipped data. That data is unzipped data means okay without compressing data. For example, I'll show you what is zipped and unzipped. So that also you will get a clear understanding. Okay, so for example, I'll take here, uh, I'll go here. Mhm. If you see, this one is compressed data. Okay, so this, if you see here, you can see it, right? It is compressed zip. Okay, still how much it is showing you here is something the to 200 MB or something. Okay, or 2 GB. But when you unzip this, what will happen? You will get more actually, and more in the sense of some size with it increase actually. Okay, now 1.9 GB is there actually. So here I'll show you properties. So 1.9 GB. It is compressed one 1.9 GB. If you uncompress this, the size gets increased. Okay. So the space when you have unzipped this, it will increase the space. So it is common, right? Okay. Even sometimes if you are going to purchase any pillow, okay, nowadays in the plastic cover, okay, your pillow will be by when you see that pillow, it will be in small size, okay, because they will extract the entire air so that plastic cover and whatever inside is there pillow is there, right, that will compress actually, correct. And when you cut the plastic cover again, it will grabs the air and it will become bigger. I mean, you might have seen that pillow, right? So similarly here, the size it will save the size actually. Okay, so similarly the data here also what will happen. Okay, so here this will be compressed data in the database. Earlier any other database, it is not like a compressed data. For example, I have a 500 MB data, then it will allocate the 500 MB data only size. But now this Snowflake, what they have done, for 500 MB, it will compress. Then it may become 400 MB, it may become 350 MB, it may become 450 MB. At least you are saving some space, right? So that you can insert another data. So like that, they are compressing, but while reading the data, yes, you can able to read the data. There is no doubt on that. Okay. So like this, once this partition is created, okay, in the database backend, you are not going to create anything. Automatically that will create, inside it will create, okay, that partition. So then what will happen, that you cannot modify. The point one is, once a partition is created in the backend, that partition cannot be modified. Immutable means what? Mutable and immutable. Mutable means yes, you can able to modify. Hmm? Immutable means that cannot be modified by the user. Okay, you cannot touch anything, you cannot modify, just you can read the data. Okay, you can override the data, but that partition once you created, you cannot able to delete, or you cannot able to change that partition. That is sure. Okay, and once the partition created, even sorry, even you cannot override that partition. Okay, that because you are, it is a immutable. Once the partition is created, that's it. Okay, and now minimum size they have given is between 50 MB to 500 MB. The compressed data it will create, and automatically whenever you load the data into a table, right, at that time based on the size it will create the 50 MB or 500 MB. So you have a 1 GB data. Hmm? Consider you have a 1 GB data. And 1 GB data, now 1 GB data means 1024 MB. Okay. MB. This is equal to 1 GB. Okay. Now, when you divide this, what will happen? Hmm? Now, 500, hmm? 500 plus 500 MB plus 500 MB plus and 24 MB. Like this, it will create a three partitions. These three partitions it will create inside. And now, if you have just inserted 30 MB data, for example, then what it does, it will create a one partition. One partition it will create. Here, how many partitions got created? Here is one partition. Okay. And here also one partition. And here also one partition. Totally three partitions. When again next day when you are inserting this data, for example, new data, again it will create a one more partition. Okay, something like this it will create. When you are inserting the data, it depending on the size of the data, it will create the partition actually. Okay, why we need to use partition generally, right? So when, for example, you have a bigger building. Okay, so for example, you have a, 100 floors or something. Hmm? Okay, and you have a five lifts in the building. Okay, now for example, those five lifts for 100 floors building, and every time they have each building, if you want to go, for example, every lift has the access, you can go everything, for example. Now what will happen, one guy has entered for first building in the first lift, and the same another guy for first building only, first floor, he entered into another shift, another lift. Then what will happen generally, these two it will go to the same floor. For example, why what my intention here is, this is building. Okay, under that you have a five floors here. Oh, sorry, five lifts here you have. This is very important actually to understand. Okay, like this you have, for example, and one guy entered here for the same floor, and here, for example. Now, here another guy is he want to go 70th, okay, 70th building, and here some other guy need to go 70th, for example. Now, first it will stop here first floor, and again it goes to the 70. Okay, here also it goes the first floor and 70. Now what I am saying, no, we will split here. Okay, here 1 to 20. Okay, here 20 to 30, and here 20 to 40, something like I will divide here. Okay, something. Now 1 to 10 means what will happen? This guy, he will check this left. Oh, okay, this left it goes only 1 to 10. Then this guy will come here, and this guy will go here because he want to go 70th building, so that only 1 to 10 it will go, and here 70 means it cross from the 1, but there is no stopping between 1 to 7 1 to 69, so directly it will go 70 to upper layer. So like this, what will happen? Actually, even if you see trains, okay, super faster trains, they will not have a stop in local stations, right? It just crash, so that he will save the time to reach the destination. Similarly, this partitions also what it does, it this partition it will create backend so that your query performance it will increase actually. Okay. So that is the reason we use the partitions. And the micro partition is created here in Snowflake. Okay. I'll go by, what is difference between traditional and Snowflake. But that is different concept actually. Okay. In short way, I'll tell you. We will, we will creating, you know, mm, so here we have a generally our traditional DBMSs like Oracle and Teradata, Vertica, DB2. These are all databases. Okay. So here you will be creating a partition. You need to create a partition at a column level or generally. So you will be finding the column which is most a common value in this. Then accordingly you will be creating on top of the partition. So that, for example, what we have done in our project is we have used uh, month as a partition. Okay, this month under month means January you will have it 31 days, right? So 31 days data will be stored in the January month partition. And similarly, again February, whatever data comes February data, that data will be stored under partition February month. So like this. So the data how we created the partition is 2024, okay, 01. This is January, and in the January, all the January data will be there. Okay, similarly 2024-02 February. So similarly 2025-01 again this partition will be created. Hmm? Okay, automatically it will create the partition based on the column of sales data or any kind of data. Okay, so date should be there. Okay, date should be there. Okay, using the date, we will create the partition because date format, how you will get 20, for example, 12, 01, 2025, right? Okay, we will convert that into integer format and we take only this month actually. And when you are creating this, what I will do? I will first take the year and month. Either you, if you want to take the like this also, 01, 2025, not an issue. Okay, like this we can create the partition. So whenever you pull this data, if you want January data, then in the where condition, okay, where month equal to, okay, 2025-01, if you give only this particular partition, it goes to the partition, it will pick up the data. Okay, so that it will not search for 2024 January, 2024 February. Okay, directly it will take the data uh, from this partition alone. So like this, it, for example, like this, we can retrieve the data very fastly. So for example, I am telling Manohar, I have kept one red ball in the third row. Okay, third row, I have kept the red ball, and go and pick up that. If I say right, directly he will go and he will go to the third row and he will pick it up the respective ball, right? Which I mentioned. Now I am telling to Chandra Mohan saying that there are some rows are there. Okay, under that, right? Go and pick up the red ball. Then what he will does? He will check entire rows where we have a red ball, and he will pick up those red balls. Okay. See, by telling clearly go to the third or fourth, then we will go directly there and we will not search for other rows. Okay. But if I say just go and pick up, that means then you need to check entire. So that is the difference here, the partition concept. And this is column level we are creating the between the data range. There are many different types of partitions we have in the this in these databases. But Snowflake, they have not created like this. They have created like size level partition. Okay, size level. What is size? 50 MB to 50 MB to 500 MB. In between, this data will be splitted and the data will be generated and partitioned in the backend and it retrieves the data. Okay, so similarly here what it does, it is, they have created like it is a immutable, you cannot overwrite any partition in this or you cannot delete any partition. Okay, and this one is 50 MB to 500 MB of compressed data. Okay, that is very important. So this size will be created up after compress the data, and it is automatically created when the data was loaded. Okay, and it is uses metadata such as min max value, number of distinct values are there, it to enable pruning means for a query optimization, what it does, it will create a minimum maximum value inside the metadata. It will create how many partitions are there. Okay, whenever you are searching the data, how it has to pick up that. This will create entirely backend. Okay, so that is does actually. And if you see here, okay, in the metadata, min max value for each column, number of distinct values, null counts, compressions, statistics, everything it will capture. Okay, this is how micro partitions works. Now, the main concept of the micro partition here is how it does actually. Now you see, this is immutable. Oh, the point one is immutable. How we can retrieve, how can overwrite the data, how it does the data, that we will see now. Okay. I'll just theoretically I'll go now, and then I'll show you practically also. So for example, I created a one record 123. Okay, Rajesh, and the location is Rajali. For example, I created one record, and this record got inserted in the table. For example, this record got inserted in the EMP table. Okay. Now, what happened next day? Okay, this one partition got created. Next day, better what I'll do, I'll take the example in Excel. Okay, so this is my EMP table. Hmm. So here I have a EMP number, ENN, Java, okay, like this. And here 123, and Rajesh, and software. Okay, like this data got inserted. Okay, now it will create a partition one, for example. After that, okay, this is got answered. This partition is immutable and you cannot see this partition. Partition name, just I given a name. Okay, you cannot identify this, but let's see. Okay, next day what happened? This 123 got changed to senior software. Senior software, he promoted. Hmm? And another record got entered here. Come on. Okay. Uh, Tech lead. Okay, like this. We got the data from the source. Now, when this data is creating, for us, what will happen? Based on the employee number, it will override the data for us. Correct. For us, it is a override. We can see here what will happen. We will override this data generally. Okay. And this data will be inserted for us like this. Right? So whenever we pull the data, we can see these two changes. Okay. Now Rajesh earlier he was a normally software engineer. Now he promoted to senior software. We see the data. But backend what is happened? Backend. Okay. This data will be stored here because this is a partition. Okay. And this data will be overwrite. Okay, and here it will create a partition 2. Okay, and here it will have a partition 1, and this will be there under cache. Okay, and we have a concept called time travel, right? So this partition will be there as it is, but when you pull the data here, what will happen here? It makes like active or inactive. Active or inactive. Now it will become here active. Okay, and here this will become a inactive. Okay, now when you pull the data, you will get only this data. You will not get this data. But how you can get this data? By using the time travel. If you want to go back, you can see the data here. What is my partition and what? And here see the data got inserted into the table, and it made this as a active and it made this as a inactive because you see the data as same. And now again it got changed. For example, now we got that new data here. Okay, and now we have a here, and now for the 1 2 3 he got promoted to, okay, consultant, for example, like this. For example, he promoted. Now what will happen for this data? First it will look up the data. Okay, this is got, no, this what will happen, this data will be come here. Okay, and then first this data it will take here. Okay, and this data will be overwrite. Hmm? And this partition will be created a new partition. Okay, and these two records was there, right? And it will become a inactive here, like this. Okay, and this will become active. Okay, so like, because we cannot able to overwrite or we cannot able to delete, so this time travel concept we have, right? So if you want to see older data, you can see only these two records until before this modified the new data, right? So that is the reason what they have done. Array, we have kept this time travel concept, so why we need to overwrite our partition? Just to take the unchanged data from the existing table and we will take the new data. It is kind of a, it is a SCD type 1. It is kind of a SCD type 1 only. Okay, this is kind of SCD type 1. See why? Because you are updating the data and history data you have here already, and it made as a, sorry, SCD type 2 actually. Okay, but by seeing this data SCD type 1, if you consider this is SCD type 2, what you are doing here, actually you are keeping the obsolete data, inactive data here. And because the time travel concept, what, in case if you want to get previous data, history data, then you can go back by using the time travel. You can you can view the data or you can take the backup also, right? And the latest data whatever, right? So it will sort the partition and it will get only the active data. Okay, so now you have a 1 2 3 1 2 5, but 1 2 4 there was no change. So from this partition it will copy the data and it will insert into the new partition. Okay, this partition 4 got created and this partition 2 was there as it is, and it got inactivated. And after 90 days, this time travel is concept is it makes 90 days, correct? After 90 days, we have a one more concept called a fail safe, right? Fail safe. This fail safe what it does, okay? And whatever after purging this 90 days data, this will keep here for 7 days. Okay. After that, permanently after 7 days, total 97 days after that, you don't find any this kind of data here. Okay, the partition concept will be there, but this data won't be there. This data you cannot able to get it. How can I get after 97 days means? No, you cannot get the data. Again, if there is any change, again what will happen? This data will be, okay, stored under partition 4, and then again it will take and it will create a new partition if there is any change. Okay, it will create a new partition and okay, now it will become inactive here again, inactivate, inactive, like this it will create again. Unchanged data will be it will take from the older partition and changed data, new data. It will take from the source. Okay, like this, it will create here. This is called micro partition, and it will compress the data as well. So it will. This is because it is immutable. This partition you cannot modify. Okay, but how you can see this? This partition, whether how many partition created, that we will see. But before that, this concept, whether you understood or not, you just let me know now. Hello, are you guys clear on the micro partitions?
Yes, understood.
Yes, sir.
This is very, very important. Okay, in interview, they will ask, how they will ask, okay, the partitions in the Snowflake, partitions are mutable or immutable? Question one. Then you need to say immutable. Okay. Then if the partition is immutable, then okay, if I got the data 1, 2, 3 as an update, how it will override the data? Because you said partition is immutable, then how it will override the data? Then you need to tell it will not override the partition. It will take the changed data, new data, and unchanged data from the existing partition, and it will create a new partition, and the older partition will be obsolete as it is. It will keep for a time travel till 90 days it will store. Okay. Then after 90 days, it will purge the data and it will move to another place. After 7 days again, from there also permanently it will be deleted. That is how you need to tell. This is very, very important here. This concept is very important. Even I was thinking initially something we can override, but no. So this will copy the data from existing partition, unchanged data. Here, 124 is unchanged data. So when you are inserting the data, it will check based on the key column. You are updating the column based on the key column, right? So here it will check. Okay, 123 as a update we have received, and 125 is the new record, and 124 unchanged, right? 124 and this 123, 124, 125. It will take the data from this, and it will take the data and it will create a new partition. It will keep. So always this will happen for us. We can by overall, if you see, it is a override for us, but inside it is a actually it is creating a one storage layer in the cache for 90 days. So that is the reason actually what is happening, here it is making the better performance. Okay, better performance here it is making. So this partition, because if this partition is mutable and if you are overwriting the data, then there is no need of a time travel concept at all. Because for example, now this is my mutable partition. Okay, now what I will do, I will update here itself something. I will update ABC. Now I want to see previous data what was there. Now I don't have a time travel. I cannot go by I cannot use my time travel to see the data because it got override. So that is the reason each operation when you do right, it will take the backup of that previous state of data. Okay, and for example, this query has one query ID, and previously it may have a 1 2 3 or something. So if you use this query ID, then it will go by that data and will check. So we have seen this here. Okay, in our micro partitions, we have seen this data. Okay, and here we got the data by using the query ID or 360 days. We have seen this how to get the data, right? So similarly, how this data we can able to see means because the data was storing here, and the changed data, unchanged data will be copied here. This is the concept of micro partitions. Okay, this is how the micro partition works actually. And when you are storing the data, this three records, for example, for example, it is 1 KB. For example, okay, this three records, maybe it is 1 KB. Then it will compress the data and it will make this as 0.5 KB, because you are compressing and storing the data. But when you are selecting the data, it will, you can see readable format. That is another issue. That is another topic. Okay. But you can able to read the data, but you are 0.5 size you are, saving here. Okay. That is what. So we have a less than 1 minute. Okay. And tomorrow I will show you with the practical how we can see the partition backend, how it works. And only because we don't have a more than 50 MB data, so we can create a separate partition. But we will see another way how we can see partitions. Okay. Let's try that, and we can see how we can see the partitions and everything. But I want you to understand this concept so that whenever if they ask in an interview, you should not, blink the eyes. Okay. So I don't know. Okay. You have to properly say, give the answer how partition works in the in Snowflake.